Welcome into a special episode of Tapping Vegas, brought to you by Better and Green. I'm Bobby. Today we're breaking down our guys. Everybody has some guys that they like, and they'll pick. Sometimes they say, "I don't think it's not a great match, but I don't think he's gonna win." But that's my boy, so you gotta pick him. We all have those people, and today we're going to establish who are our guys. And then we could change these as time goes by. But right now, these are like our ride or die guys. Five, our crew of five, the big bangers is what we're going to call them. Who is your first person that's going to be on your team, Bobby?
So right now, the first guy that is currently competing in mixed martial arts that I'm a huge fan of, and ironically enough, I picked against him in his most pivotal fight, Ilya Taporia. He's the first guy on my list. Ilya Taporia, yeah, I did not think he had much of a chance against Volkanovski. I thought it was going to be maybe a year, 2 years down the line, he'd make his way back and then he'd get the belt. Shocked me with an absolute masterclass. Some reasons why I like Ilya. Crisp boxing, beautiful fundamental boxing for MMA that you just don't see. Doesn't always headhunt, mixes it into the body well, throws good leg kicks, especially calf kicks, uses those to set up his boxing. Crisp, fundamental, beautiful, precise boxing with also knock you on your ass power. Very competent grappling, very strong in the grappling physically. Able to get submissions, able to defend takedowns, able to initiate his own takedowns, able to reverse takedowns against him. Very well-rounded guy, very exciting to watch, exciting fan-friendly finishing style, and just a lot to like about Ilya Taporia.
We had one rule with picking our guys that you can only have one champion. If your guys become champion, like later on down the road, that doesn't count. You had them back then. But my one champion is also Ilya Taporia. I mean, the dude is he's
Ooh,
outstanding. And I told you that on our episode when we both picked against him, I said he's going to lose this fight, but he's going to win it the next fight. He's just going to have a rematch with Volk, and he's going to win it back. We didn't need that next fight. He won it. He is just so fun to watch. He is an interesting guy. He's got that swagger that I like to see. He's a great fighter. I think he's really good for the sport too. So Ilya Taporia makes both of our lists. He is of all the champions, he's our number one.
yes, huge honor there.
Yes. All right. Who's your number two, Bobby?
All right, this is where we might start differing right now, but as it stands, April 2024, my number two guy, JDM Jack Della Maddalena. And a lot of things about JDM Jack Della. Basically, I feel like he's the welterweight version of Taporia. Taporia's king of 145. I feel like JDM's going to be king of 170. Very similar attributes, very fundamental, crisp, beautiful to watch boxing. Don't just headhunt, also mix in kicks. You see why I think this guy's pretty much 170 Taporia. His grappling is kind of the only thing that I don't think is necessarily as good as Taporia's. But after that fight against Gilbert Burns, I don't know. I think it's getting a lot better than people give it credit for, because for him to not be held down by Gilbert Burns was very impressive. Yes, he was getting taken down, but he was not being held down. He was able to scramble. He was able to get back to his feet and definitely able to mitigate the damage that Gilbert usually inflicts on his opponents. He's able to take down and was able to also time those takedowns to lead to that beautiful knee finish of Gilbert Burns. So I think the sky's the limit for JDM. Unfortunately, he's probably going to be on the shelf for a little while. He broke his forearm in that fight. So even though he's not going to be competing for a while because he has to heal up, it's still pretty damn impressive. He beat a tough challenge in Gilbert Burns, and especially in the grappling department, to be able to hold his own with some unconventional techniques and tactics that were taught to him, like octopus guard by Craig Jones and those guys who are really making some waves in BJJ and grappling right now. Very impressive, and I'm excited when he does fight again to see where JDM goes.
Bobby, I'm going to be Taylor right behind you. Same weight division, but not the same guy. I'm sure you already know who I'm going to say with it being in the same division. I put my largest wager of the year on him last year to end out 2023. Yes, The Rock, Shavkat Rachmanov is going to be my next pick. The dude's just insane. I think he's 18-0 with 18 finishes. He can choke people out from standing, which is just disgusting. The guy just seems like a monster. I would be surprised if he's not holding that belt one day. And I feel with the way that the UFC is going, JDM and Shavkat might be like the John Jones, Daniel Cormier. These guys might be seeing a lot of each other. They're both fantastic. I'm just on the other side of the coin.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely really enjoy Shafkat also, and he'd probably be my number 2 guy in the division right now. I've been a JDM stan for a long time. I've said it a lot on the show, and I've just been following the man's career for a while. What can I say?
Hey, absolutely, man. I love it. If we had all the same guys, it'd be a very boring episode.
Exactly.
Who is your third guy on your big bangers?
So if we had all the same guys, it'd be a very boring episode. And if we pick just, like you said, all champions, it'd be a very boring episode.
Yeah.
Everybody in MMA has a role to play. Not everybody's exciting, which leads me to my next guy. And where I'm going with all this is choo choo. Number 3, Nate the Train Landwehr.
Let's go.
What can I say about Nate the Train Landwehr? I'm not trying to be a hater, but I just don't know if he cracks championship. He'll probably be a top 10 guy. But realistically, I don't know that he'll ever get the belt because he's so damn entertaining. And there's definitely MMA, especially the UFC. I just saw an article and people on Twitter talking about how the UFC's changed. And yeah, it's changed in a lot of good ways. And it seems like fighters now are more technical and I guess better masters of their craft and specialists and all this. And that's great. But man, it's also taken, and a lot of people notice that it's taken away from the fun though. There's not really these guys that are trying to go out there and brawl and just have a good damn time and just put on entertaining fights. Like with the champions, somebody hit the nail on the head. They said guys aren't really trying to finish their challengers. They're just trying to defend. They're just trying to make a defense. They're not out there for the kill. Nate Landwehr is out for the kill in every fight, whether it's by sub, whether it's by, KO, TKO, and he has what every fighter needs to have. And it's so uniquely him. I'm not once again trying to just gush over the guy, but it's so unique. It's not like a lot of people try to do a ripoff McGregor like Alexander Hernandez or, you name it. They try to do like the Michael Venom Page and they showboat. Nate is just uniquely him. The crazy shit that he says, like whoop my ass and see what happens. And I'll probably win if I don't lose. Like, he's just him. The guy is unapologetically his own self. He says what's on his mind, and he does it in a way that is cutting great promo. He has an exciting style, a finishing style, and he's great on the mic, and he's just an entertaining, fun guy with a contagious energy to watch. And I said on the last episode when we made some money off him against Jamal Emmers, I don't care if he loses every fight from here to eternity, as long as it's entertaining and he's on the microphone after, I'll tune in for years and years to watch a good Nate Landwehr fight.
I love it. I love it. I love Nate Landwehr now too. The dude never disappoints. But this guy, the only thing that disappoints me about him is the money line. And once again, you already know who I'm gonna say, but the highest money line that we have ever seen, Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel's gonna be my third guy. I'm probably one of the biggest Bo Nickel stans out there. It's just sickening. 2019 under 23 World Championship gold medal, 3-time gold medalist at Penn State. That dude is also, he has a silver medal too. So he got first 3 times, a second once. I love Bo, man. I think it's very underestimated how good of a wrestler he was. He won the Hodge Trophy for the best wrestler in the nation. I still don't think that there has been a 197-pounder in college that could have beat Bo Nickel, like 2019 Bo Nickel. I think everybody we've had since, which I think has probably been Aaron Brooks has won it, I think, every year since then, because they didn't wrestle 2020. Yeah. I think if four-time champion Aaron Brooks, I don't think Aaron Brooks would beat Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel is just the way he wrestles and just the dude's psyche is next level. He might not be the most interesting on the mic. That's kind of sometimes we see that with these wrestling guys. It's a lot different. The fighting and like the talking versus the wrestling where it's like you just work your way through the bracket. It doesn't matter. Um, they're a lot of times not as entertaining to listen to, but man, I really love Bo. I think it's just a matter of time. I think we're gonna see a finish, a pretty substantial finish in UFC 300. I think they want that to be Bo Nickel's really big coming out party because I think that this guy is just a matter of time. He's going to shoot up those rankings, if not become champion soon.
Yeah, shout out to Bo Nickel. It was between him and I'll save the other guy as my last honorable mention at the end of the list. It was between him and one other guy, and it was really tough since we can only have five guys right now to start off with. It was really tough for him not to make my list, but he definitely almost edged out Nate Landwehr.
Well, I'm glad he was up there for you too. Then
100%. Literally the only reason why I didn't pick him was because I didn't want to like. I felt kind of bad because I felt like I was picking because I'm so high on him like you, even though he hasn't established himself. This is only his third fight. It felt like I was picking a guy because I know what he's going to be type thing. Like I was picking a good guy, like a guy who's going to be good type thing. So that's literally the only reason why I left him off the list.
See, I just love Bo so much. I had to get him in. I'm like, I don't care what if I have to get Taporia out of here, whatever. Bo's gonna be on it.
Hey, I don't blame you, man. I see the same thing as you. Like I said, it was just really tough to knock it down to five. If it was six, he would damn sure be on my six.
Yes. Yes. Well, who's your four?
So my number four, this is another one that people probably aren't going to expect. And it's actually a guy who is supposed to be on this upcoming card for this Saturday that's absolutely dog shit. And I've been eating a lot of pasta and a lot of spaghetti and fettuccine to try to get over him not being on it. Marvin Vettori.
Yeah.
And here's why I like Marvin Vettori. So Marvin Vettori, I feel like, has always been a dark horse in that division. He's always kind of been overlooked. I mean, yeah, when Israel was the champ, he had his opportunity. Unfortunately, he came up short. But, man, I just have so much respect for Marvin Vettori. Going back to kind of the same sentiment with Nate Landwehr, like, you can't really call yourself a fight fan and you can't be a real fan and all that shit that I don't like saying, but I will say in this case because I do firmly believe this. You can't always be the person like, oh, I only like that fighter because they're good, or I like that fighter because they're the champ, or that fighter wins, or whatever. Everybody in the UFC, I try not to talk crap on fighters. And if I do, I try to make it humorous. It's nothing personal. I really try to acknowledge what it takes to even get to the UFC, let alone stay in the UFC. And Marvin Vettori, man, yeah, he'll probably never be champ, but the guy is so damn tough. He's so tough. He's so durable. He only won one amateur fight, three straight losses on the amateur scene, still sacked up, still made his pro debut in 2013, went on a 5-fight win streak, lost, went on another huge win streak, lost, made it to the UFC. Like, the guy just has no quit. He's just overcome a lot of adversity. I think he was one of, if not the first, one of like maybe the first three like Italian UFC fighters to make it to the UFC when he had pretty much nobody to look to for guidance coming from Italy. And just, you know, when he was training in Italy at an Italian gym, all the sacrifices he had to make because MMA is not a big sport over there. And a lot of people were trying to discourage him. And speaking to his grit and how tough he is, he's never been finished in his entire pro career. And I'm going to double check that to make sure because I'm so shocked with how many fights he has. He's never been finished. He's lost, but he's never been knocked out. He's never been TKO'd. He's never been subbed. And he's got a 19-6-1 record. So for him to go up against the caliber of competition that he has and he's never been finished is just insane. And I know he gets a lot of he's like called pillow fisted and, you know, he doesn't have a lot of finishes in the UFC and everything. And I get that. But with that being said, that's another reason why I like him for him to have the style that he does, where he's very well rounded, kind of the jack of all trades, master of none, and to not get caught up like so many fighters do in that safe style and that point fighting style, the man brings it. Like his war with Paulo Costa is one of my top favorite fights of all time. If you haven't watched that, seriously watch that. He did not play that safe. He easily could have. He didn't. He went out there and put on a hell of a show with Paulo Costa and took shots that would just melt anybody else with that damn orc chin that he has. That mind in Mordor chin and that big old Italian head, and the dude just ate it and came at him. Same with Jared Cannonier. Yeah, he lost, but where anybody else would have been tapping on the stool or looking for a way out, he still made it. I believe that was a 5-round main event and absorbed some heavy-ass punishment, but never once thought about throwing in the towel. And, you know, that's a decision maybe his coaches should have made for him, but it speaks a lot to his integrity, his heart, and his will that he didn't look for a way out himself. You know, it would be different if his coaches did it for him, which is how it's supposed to be. But the man is just great. There's just very well-rounded, very entertaining guy who, like I said, could easily play it safe, but still goes out there and entertains and always puts on a show. And he's not too bad on the mic compared to somebody who, you know, English is their second language.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't doubt the guy's grit. The guy is just as tough as they come. I love that pick, Bobby. I'm going to take the Ilya Taporia clone, the Armin Saryukian.
Ooh, there we go.
I love that guy. I just feel like, and maybe him even more so, it's just like everything that you want in an MMA fighter. Like, the dude's got he's got good grappling, he's got good striking. He can sub you, he can knock you out, he can win in decision, he's got the gas. He's just really entertaining to watch. He's not going to lay and pray, he's not going to wall and stall like we say about some of these guys. Every time he fights, I want to tune in. And I think he's fighting Charles Oliveira here coming up soon. That's going to be a great fight, and every fight that he fights is a great fight. I want to say he's championship caliber, but I just don't know. What do you think, Bobby?
Yeah, I don't disagree with this at all. He's definitely a bright spot of that division.
Yeah.
Right now, Islam's the champ, and his first fight with Islam was razor close. He was the first person besides Adriano Martins, who obviously KO'd him, to really give Makhachev like a run for his money in the grappling, especially since that's right. Makhachev's specialty. He held his own, and he did lose a unanimous decision, but damn, it was a very close fight. And I haven't watched it in a while, so maybe I'm misremembering, but it was a close fight from what I do remember. And yeah, I could easily see Sarukian for sure having the best chance out of everybody right now, because I just touched on this not that long ago. 155 used to be deep, but I feel like it's kind of aging out here soon. And I feel like there's definitely, it's not as deep as I once thought. And some of the guys who were kind of bubbling to the top have either simmered down or washed out. And then a lot of the guys like your Justin Gaethjes, your Dustin Poiriers, those type of guys, you got to kind of wonder how much more time they have left.
Right. I would love to see Armin get to the top. Islam's going to be a tough battle for him, but I love the dude, and I think there's going to be very, very, very few times that I pick against him. So, spoiler alert, it'll probably be Armin next week when we break it down UFC 300.
Hey, no beef with that.
Bobby, who's going to round it out for you?
All right, so my last pick, my number 5 guy. Once again, I like to do this just to keep it fresh, just to keep it interesting. Highlight somebody who definitely is not getting the attention they deserve. I feel like this last person is not – they're being slept on. Need to wake up. It's not night time. This guy's coming. He's already here. He's been here. Raise the blinds, let the sun in. Ciaran Clark. And he is a Bellator guy. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why he's not really getting the exposure that he deserves, is because he is a Bellator guy and not a UFC guy. So I'm hoping with the whole Bellator PFL merger thing that changes and he gets some more eyes on him. Because right now, Ciaran Clark, he's on a hell of a tear. He's undefeated in his pro career. Granted, he's only had 8 fights, But going back to the Marvin Vettori thing, he had a very, hit or miss amateur career. He was 13-10 in the Amis, made his pro debut, and has been unbeaten since then. So here's a guy that did not let adversity, dampen his desire and his will to fight professionally. He kept going, and it's worked out really well for him. Round 3, arm triangle choke win this past March 22nd. Arm triangle choke win round 2, September last year. Rear naked choke win September 2022. So the only thing kind of stopping the guy is he's had some canceled bouts. And a lot of people don't really want to fight him because he's got all these submission wins in Bellator right now. And he's definitely making a name for himself, and he's very exciting to watch. His striking is more than serviceable, but his grappling is just very fun. It's very fun to watch a good grappler who's able to initiate and master those takedowns and control every aspect of the grappling situation like he is. And to be able to consistently finish people in professional MMA is an accomplishment. We talk all the time about fighters that maybe are finishing machines on the regional circuit or in the Amis, but once they make it to the UFC and they start hanging with like UFC, Bellator, top tier level competition. Once again, not to make this just all about the UFC since he is a Bellator guy, we see that sometimes that finishing ability doesn't translate. But for him, for Clark, it's 100% translated, and it's just really a joy to watch. And like I said, he's even in Bellator. He's in the 135 division, and he's knocking on Patchy Mix's door. And I just don't see very many people talking about him. How I even found out about him was I just randomly came across his Twitter, and it wasn't even for a fighting-related reason. It was because he's very devout in his Catholic faith, and as a fellow Catholic, that's kind of a good inspiration to see. And I just hope that everybody can start paying some attention to Cheerin Clark, and hopefully in the next year or two, he can get that Bellator 135-pound title from Patchy Mix.
That's a great find, Bobby. That is a great find, man. You're deeper in the woods than I am, so you know some of those guys. So, I power to you, man, finding him. My last guy. So Justin Gaethje was the one that was on the cut. He's the one that didn't make it. I was thinking about it. Why he didn't make it is because I feel like it was kind of like Cejudo. Like I loved those dudes so much so long ago. They've been around for forever. And so I'm like, I love him, but I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to enjoy Gaethje. So I can't put him on my list right now since we still got a long time going forward of us doing this. So Gaethje didn't make the list. But I do kind of want to test your brain and see if you know this guy based on our show breakdown. My 5th guy is a dude that was a heavy favorite and almost got chinned by a guy I couldn't even find a reach for. Do you know who it is?
All right, give me a second.
Okay.
Was it Umar?
Yes, Umar, dude. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Umar Nurmagomedov.
Nice pick.
Thank you. He's like the 10th ranked guy or something. He's a little lower down there. If you watch the show, you know that I'm just like a big fan of these wrestling Dagestani guys, and he's my favorite of all of them. I was also looking at like Movsar Evlov. Oh gosh, the guy who just beat Johnny Walker. I was looking at him too.
Damn, the beat Johnny Walker.
Yeah, the guy. What was his name?
Ankalaev?
Ankalaev, yes. Yeah. So there was like a couple guys I was looking at. Umar, he's just so young, so I think he was like only 26 or something. And with that name, he just has so much to live up to. Almost getting chinned, it was scary, but at the same time, like, I kind of want to go on the ride with somebody. And I just really hope good things for him. I don't know if he ever gets to that level. I don't think he probably ever gets to the Khabib level. There's going to be very few people throughout history that get to the Khabib level. So I'm not going to put that on him. That's a lot of pressure, but I really enjoy watching him fight. And it is boring sometimes, but just the being able to control somebody for 15 minutes if you don't put them out is... I know it's boring to some people, but as a wrestling fan, it's just really satisfying to watch.
I like that one a lot. I'll admit he wasn't on my radar until he's been on my radar, but not for like my top 5 guys until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that's what makes it so hard about just having it as 5. Because
Right.
if he was like 7, he'd easily be my 7th. So yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. My only hang up with him is just the opposite. Like you don't know that like Sarukian might make it in 155. I
Right.
think 135 is just way deeper. I think
Right.
that's probably the deepest division right now, or at least top heavy.
Yeah.
I'll say top heavy with Marab. If he makes it past Marab, that'd be a hell of a fight, even though Marab's probably earned himself a title shot at this point. Marab's probably his biggest challenge. Aljo's moved up, so I don't think he has to worry about Aljo.
Jan's
So
still
really,
dangerous.
honestly, huh?
Jan is still dangerous.
That's
He
true.
beat
That's
you
true.
down.
Especially since he tore his ACL, MCL in that fight. I'm trying to give him some leverage with how bad I thought that fight was after learning he tore that shit mid round. So.
You better start listening to the Better in Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome to Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top. Hey, shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome to our podcast. Better in Green.